New details directly from an eyewitness and Good Samaritan on that tour bus tragedy along the Thruway in Pembroke.
5 people died in that crash. Dozens of others were hurt. And tonight, we hear from one of the heroes who rushed to help the victims. Carly Miner reports.
Direk Dantzler tells me on August 22nd, he was traveling east on the Thruway when he saw a tour bus crash near Pembroke. He shared photos of that crash.
And I was looking up and I seen the bus probably maybe 20 bus lengths ahead of me, maybe veer off a little bit to the middle median, and the bus started to kind of bounce a little bit in the grass. It seemed like a lot of dust and dirt and stuff flying up.
He says within seconds, he heard the tires screeching and saw the bus go off the road. Dantzler described what he saw as he got closer to the wreck.
I could hear voices inside the bus yelling, screaming, crying. So I creeped past the bus and I pulled in front of the bus in the right lane, and I said, I gotta get out, I gotta do something.
He tells me he was the first person on scene.
I started walking by the first guy, and he's reaching out to me, just face full of tears and crying and holding his daughter. And goes, help me save her, save her.
Dantzler says that's when he got into the bus while it was laying on its side. Inside, passengers were screaming and many bleeding from their injuries.
So I'm just, calm down, I'll send away. But a lot of them didn't understand English, so I had to keep repeating it.
That's when he says he was alerted to another victim trapped behind the bus.
This lady, she was, I could hardly see her face. So I got down and I took the mud out of her face, and, her eyes and her nose and mouth, and made that little area where she could breathe freely.
He says that's when more people began arriving to help. Dantzler says as he made his way back to his car, he could hear the sound of helicopters in the distance.
I got my car and I started crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy got me good. I tried to be strong the whole time until this,
Carly Miner reporting there. Dantzler says he has spoken to that father mentioned, and his child remains in the hospital with more surgery scheduled in the near future. New information following the tour bus tragedy on the Thruway.
Today, 13 WHAM's Lowell Rose talked to a transportation and safety expert on the investigation process and what we can expect.
The NTSB investigation is very different than the investigation that state or local law enforcement will do in this crash.
Brian Riker, a transportation safety and compliance expert for Evidence Solutions, says the NTSB investigation into Friday's deadly tour bus crash in Pembroke will dive deeper, looking for any potential mechanical issues, systemic problems with the company, or if parts were replaced incorrectly in an effort to prevent a repeated type of crash from happening.
So it's going to start with preserving evidence, then analyzing evidence so that they can make a determination of what most likely occurred that resulted in that tour bus leaving the road and rolling over.
Similar to a black box in airplanes, there are data recorders, braking modules, and engine-controlled modules that the NTSB will look at. Riker believes it could take weeks before we know if the bus driver could face any charges for the crash, an investigation led by state police. Ultimately, the district attorney will have to determine if the driver's actions rise to a criminal level.
They have to make sure before they file any charges against the driver of the bus or the owner and operator of the bus, they have to make sure that they can support that. So they're going to want to check cell phone records. They're going to look and see if there's any recoverable video evidence from inside the bus.
Now, in a briefing over the weekend, the NTSB said we can expect a preliminary report in about 30 days, giving insight into that deadly crash. It could also shed light into possible causes and where the investigation will focus. Karen.
13 WHAM also digging into the federal records of M&Y Tours, the operator of that bus.
Federal records show the company had some inspection violations, but nothing critical. 13 WHAM investigative reporter Lowell Rose joins us with a deeper look into these records. Lowell.
Matt and Karen, the data obtained by 13 WHAM is from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and nothing is too glaring in this report, unlike other companies involved in crashes. Data from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration shows M&Y Tour Inc. is based out of Staten Island, New York. It has 9 buses in its fleet and 20 drivers. According to federal data, there's no previous history of crashes over the past 24 months. M&Y Tour Inc. has a federal rating of satisfactory, completed in September of 2024. Of the last 59 driver inspections over the past 2 years, there was only 1 violation. On July 22nd of this year, the company received an hours of service violation where the driver failed to enter information into the electronic logging device. However, out of the 43 vehicle inspections during the same time period, the company received 47 vehicle maintenance violations. None were acute or critical. The violations stem from issues with lights, bus parts, oil leaks, emergency exits not properly marked, and no fire extinguisher, to name a few. According to the report, the company's record is clean in the areas of unsafe driving, controlled substances and alcohol, or driver fitness. During a press conference with the National Transportation Safety Board on Saturday, the agency said the bus appeared to have seatbelts.
So part of our investigation will be to determine the extent to which seatbelts were being used and the extent to which the lack of seatbelt use may have been a factor in some of the passengers being ejected.
New York State enacted a new law this year requiring passengers 8 years of age and older to wear seatbelts provided by the bus. The law applies to charter buses manufactured on or after November 28, 2016. Investigators say the bus was manufactured in 2005.
Whether that law would apply in this case is not clear to me anyway. That's something we'll be looking at, and we may make some recommendations in that regard with respect to how that law might be improved.
Now, the owner of the bus company did not answer our calls for comments today. The bus crashed. The NTSB said that the company is cooperating with that investigation.
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 WHAM News at 6.
We begin with new information tonight on the tour bus tragedy on the New York State Thruway. Good evening, I'm Matt Malloy. 5 people were killed, dozens more injured in that crash in Pembroke on Friday. Tonight, we've got an update on those hospitalized and more on the safety records of the bus company involved. 13 WHAM's Natalie Calzatoni starts off our team coverage with the latest on the investigation and how many passengers are still hospitalized. Natalie, good evening.
Good evening. The National Transportation Safety Board told me earlier today its team will remain in the area of the crash throughout the week. And healthcare systems across Western New York provided updates today on how many patients are still receiving treatment. As of Monday afternoon, 15 people, including a child, remain hospitalized following Friday's tour bus crash on the New York State Thruway in Pembroke that killed 5 people. New York State Police say the tour bus, operated by M&Y Tour Incorporated of Staten Island, was traveling back to New York City from Niagara Falls Friday when it crashed just after 12:20 p.m. While the cause remains under investigation, police say it's believed the bus driver became distracted. 54 people were on board, ranging in age from 1 to 74. There were 52 passengers and 2 drivers. The University of Rochester Medical Center says 6 passengers were initially brought in for treatment and 2 were discharged this past weekend. As of Monday, 1 patient remains in critical condition and 3 are stable. Kaleida Health tells me 20 total passengers were admitted to its 3 Erie County facilities Friday. The Oshai Children's Hospital initially received 3 children. As of Monday, 2 have been released and 1 remains hospitalized in serious condition. All 11 adults and 2 children treated at Millard Fillmore Suburban Hospital have been discharged, and all 4 adults treated at Buffalo General Medical Center have also been released. Over at the Erie County Medical Center in Buffalo, a total of 21 patients were initially brought in Friday, and since then, 11 have been released. As of Monday, 10 patients remain hospitalized at ECMC in stable condition. According to Rochester Regional Health, the 2 patients brought to its facility in Batavia were released Saturday. Kaleida Health adds many discharged patients received assistance from the American Red Cross Friday night. The NTSB says the investigation is ongoing and a preliminary report is expected in about 30 days. Matt.
At least 16 people remain hospitalized as of this evening, according to the latest reports from area hospitals following Friday's deadly Thruway tour bus crash in Genesee County. Good evening, I'm Stephen Pappas. Tonight, we're learning more about the scale of the response. 13 WHAM's Daniel Finkelstein joins us now with more in our continuing coverage on this incident. Daniel, good evening.
Good evening, Stephen. Mercy Flight's executive vice president estimating helicopters were on scene within roughly 20 minutes of being dispatched. Other crews from surrounding counties racing toward Pembroke. As patients recover and first responders return to service, Genesee County's director of emergency management reflects on Friday's massive Thruway scene.
Our thoughts and prayers are out to the victims and the families of the victims, and and the injured. It was a devastating incident.
After 35 years in public safety, Tim Yeager says few moments compare.
Back in the early 90s, there was an Amtrak derailment in Genesee County with multiple injuries, dozens of injuries as well. That was very early in my career. I wasn't in a management position then. I was just a first responder.
Yeager now crediting preparedness.
We have a tour bus with 52 passengers, mostly foreign speaking. We have people ejected and people possibly under the bus at this point.
One responding firefighter sharing his experience online of pulling one passenger from under that bus, writing in part, quote, "Lives were undoubtedly saved, suffering was reduced, and the opportunity for a very bad situation to get worse was prevented."
It was, the biggest and probably one of the most tragic events, that our company has experienced during my tenure there.
Mercy Flight's executive vice president recalls 3 helicopters racing to the scene. Mercy Flight Central and LifeNet also responding.
They can transport patients at approximately 150 miles an hour through the air. As far as the scene itself, one of my flight medics described it as, he felt like he was in a movie, a traumatic scene in a movie.
The circumstances of that crash now under investigation. Yeager says those who answered that call now must process those experiences.
We want to make sure that everyone has the same opportunity to speak to the professionals that they need to speak with, so that they're in their field for a long time.
Tonight, drivers with video footage of that crash or information about it are asked to contact the New York State Police, as well as witness at ntsb.gov. Stephen, back to you.
Mourners tonight holding a brief vigil for those killed and injured in yesterday's tour bus crash on the Thruway. A moment to pray and process. Good evening, I'm Stephen Pappas. State Police earlier this afternoon identifying the passengers who lost their lives. Multiple others still hospitalized tonight. 13 WHAM's Daniel Finkelstein brings us the latest on this developing story. Daniel, good evening.
Good evening, Stephen. State Police say the driver, 55-year-old Bin Shao of Flushing, had no signs of impairment, and the bus had no mechanical failure. The exact cause of that crash under investigation tonight. Heartbreak in Genesee County.
It was just so unbelievable that this would happen near our small community here.
People mourning outside Pembroke Community Church after the fatal tour bus crash in their town.
When I saw those first responders racing down my road, because I live right here on the main drag, I knew that something bad had happened.
State police say the bus carrying 54 people total was bound for New York City after visiting Niagara Falls when it crashed shortly before 12:30 p.m.
It's believed the operator became distracted, lost control, overcorrected, and ended up on the right shoulder there.
Passers-by capturing this jaw-dropping video of the scene.
Oh my gosh.
Police calling the crash horrific. One man says the aftermath was hard to see.
Certainly you could tell that they had just been through something that was really devastating.
State troopers say 5 passengers died. 65-year-old Shankar Kumar Jha of India, 22-year-old Shaya Hangjua of China, as well as 60-year-old Pinky Shankrani, 55-year-old Zhang Xiaolan, and 56-year-old Zhenming Li of New Jersey.
Our mission is to understand not just what happened, but why it happened, and to recommend changes to prevent it from happening again.
NTSB officials announcing their own investigation as police search for answers.
So part of our investigation will be to determine the extent to which seatbelts were being used and the extent to which the lack of seatbelt use may have been a factor in some of the passengers being ejected.
The NTSB looking into an array of factors, including human performance, highway design, even the bus company's policies, as well as a camera recovered from the scene. Both the NTSB and state police say the Staten Island-based bus company is cooperating, and the driver has not been charged. Area healthcare providers say several people remain hospitalized.
One of the people we'll be praying for tonight is the driver. It is something that he will live with for the rest of his life.
Tonight, the NTSB asking anyone with information or video footage to contact them by email at witness@ntsb.gov. Stephen, back to you.
Also tonight, a tragedy on the State Thruway. 5 people killed and dozens injured after a tour bus crashes in Pembroke.
There, in the many years of the Thruway, there's been several horrific accidents, with this being one of them.
State police providing an update to that fatal crash on the Thruway this evening. 5 adults killed. State police clarifying that no children are among the dead. Good evening, I'm Matt Malloy.
I'm Karen Edwards. The tour bus was from New York City, returning from a trip to Niagara Falls. We have team coverage tonight. Daniel Finkelstein is standing by with more from people who saw the aftermath of that crash.
We begin, though, with Stephen Pappas and the new information on that investigation tonight. Stephen, good evening.
Yeah, Matt and Karen, good evening. 50 people were taken to hospitals all across the region with injuries ranging from head trauma to broken arms and legs. State police say most of the passengers on the bus were of Indian, Chinese, or Filipino ethnicity, and authorities brought in translators to help with the emergency response. Tragedy on the New York State Thruway. A tour bus with 54 people inside, ranging from ages 1 to 74, crashing, flipping, and throwing some from the bus in Genesee County. The crash killing 5 adults and injuring dozens just before 12:30 Friday afternoon.
In the many years of the Thruway, there's been several horrific accidents, with this being one of them.
State police providing an evening update into what may have caused that bus operated by M&Y Tour Inc. out of Staten Island to crash.
It's believed the operator became distracted, lost control, overcorrected, and ended up on the right shoulder there.
Police say mechanical failure and impairment have been ruled out, and at this time, the driver of the bus has not faced any charges. Troopers also clarifying that no children are among the dead, as was believed earlier in the day, and are now asking for the public's help.
I'd like to ask anyone with information, whether it be an eyewitness account or dash cam footage that could help us in this investigation, contact Troop A, SP Batavia at 585-344-6200.
50 people were taken to area hospitals. 6 of them were brought to Strong Memorial Hospital in Rochester, 2 of which having critical injuries. Kaleida Health in Erie County receiving 20 patients to be treated at 3 separate hospitals, including 1 child in serious condition. And at least 24 people were taken to the Erie County Medical Center. Hospital officials there crediting quick action and recent training in helping save lives.
Many of our emergency medicine physicians from our group on scene and those who joined us in the department, we were able to take care of all patients very quickly.
And say this was a scenario that the hospital trained for just last month.
I've been here 25 years. This is, and as Peter had mentioned, I'm also a member of the Department of Emergency Medicine. This is probably the most trauma patients we've had from one incident in my career here in Buffalo.
State police did not say how the driver became distracted. We're told the driver is cooperating with the investigation. Matt and Karen, back to you.
Stephen, thank you. We continue our team coverage tonight with 13 Wham's Daniel Finkelstein.
He spoke with several drivers who saw the aftermath of that crash. Daniel.
Good evening to both of you. I'm joining you live from outside the state police headquarters in Batavia. That's roughly 15 minutes away from that crash. The tour bus has been towed here within the last several hours as evidence. The National Transportation Safety Board tonight says it's sending a team to investigate that crash. Hundreds of drivers saw the scene today, calling it shocking and heartbreaking. A horrific sight for hundreds of drivers in Western New York. A tour bus overturned on the busy Thruway in Pembroke in Genesee County. First responders scrambling to render aid.
I could see glass shattered everywhere from all of the windows all over the road.
Powell Stevens capturing this video as he drove from Buffalo to Medina.
Saw a couple women crying. I mean, it was definitely hard to see. It was certainly, you could tell that they had just been through something that was really devastating.
Mike Flagg sharing these images. The front windows of the bus shattered and dozens of emergency responders in the median.
I mean, it was really a sad sight to see.
Lakeela Jackson also witnessing the aftermath of the fatal crash. As she drove from Rochester to Canada, she captured this video. You can faintly see people huddled near the overturned bus.
There were people laid out in the grass. And on the side, at first I thought it was a tractor trailer, the way I saw the top of the bus sticking out. But as I got closer, I realized it was a bus, and the front windows were bust out. It was really tragic.
Matt and Karen, a family assistance center for the victims and their families has been set up at the Amherst Senior Center in Buffalo. And again, anyone who may have witnessed the crash or has dash cam video is asked to contact the state police. Live in Batavia, Daniel Finkelstein, 13 WHAM News.
Daniel, thank you. We're also learning more about the bus company tonight. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration says M&Y Tour has a satisfactory safety rating and no record of accidents or fatalities over the past 2 years. The agency says officials inspected the company's buses and drivers 60 times over the past 2 years.
Troopers today also revealing most people on the bus were not wearing seat belts. A state law does require seatbelt use on charter buses built after November of 2016. It's unclear the age of the bus involved in today's crash. Stay with 13 WHAM News as this story develops over the weekend. You can find extensive in-depth coverage on 13wham.com.